Set Dan, and this could be another story in the making as well. Will be interesting to see how much is left in the tank here for Anderson after his trip down under. He was beaten heavily by Simon Whitlock in the quarterfinals in Brisbane, 8-0. Went down 6-5 to the eventual champion Michael van Gerwen in Hamilton, New Zealand. Didn't fare too well either in Melbourne.
85.
Stephen Bunting, having gone so close on the European Tour this year.
135.
To a first PDC stage title in Prague. Squandering that 3-1 lead against Jamie Hughes.
60.
Bunting started this match the slight favourite. 5-4 on or so, pretty much across the board. Anderson the even money of the two.
79.
Yeah, I think Kyle will be disappointed with how the last 3 or 4 weeks have gone back in Australia and New Zealand. There's a guy who's won a World Series event who only come away with one quarter-final from the 3 events. It'll be bit of a letdown, really. That's awkward.
32.
Too awkward in the end for Bunting. Kyle a chance to break.
Back upstairs.
Game shot on the first leg
for
Kyle
Anderson, who is looking to book a significant trend, but he's looking to book something of a trend. Bunting has won the majority of their previous encounters. 6-3 the score in the head-to-head standings. Just the one meeting on the European Tour, however, that was in the European Match Play a couple of years ago in the last 16. Bunting winning that one 6-3 with an average of 103 that day.
You know, if you go back 3 years to this very venue, the Austrian Darts Open, Phil Taylor, of course, won it, beat Michael Smith in the final. But the best player, for my money, in terms of the standard of darts produced over the course of the weekend, was Kyle Anderson. Because not only did he record a victory against Michael van Gerwen, but he was only beaten 6-5 by Taylor despite averaging 105. He'd averaged almost 104 in beating Jelle Klaasen, who was incredible on the Euro Tour that time. Bunting piles in a 174. He'd seen off Mensur Suljovic in his home country, and he'd averaged more than 97 in beating Ross Smith. He really was unbelievable that weekend, and it was only a savage, narrow defeat to Taylor that ended his run in the semi-finals. Taylor had actually beaten Bunting in the quarters that weekend.
100.
Maybe a return to the multiversum here in Vienna could inspire Kyle Anderson to do something special, but right now he's lost the advantage of throwing first in this leg.
77.
He's not done enough to claw it back.
107.
Treble 17. Nope. So Anderson
55.
can double his lead, but he's going to need one treble and one in the bull. Treble 19. For 127 and game. And there it is! 1-2-7 in game. Kyle Anderson goes 2-0 up.
Game on.
And 3 years ago here in this venue, the bullseye finishing was a theme for Kyle Anderson. He hit 3 against Michael van Gerwen in the standout performance, or certainly the standout win of that weekend.
Yes, setting the tone very nicely, raising the bar very nicely as well. Stephen Bunting hasn't settled in this one at all. His run to the final in Prague catapulted him into the top 10 on the European Tour Order of Merit. It was a great summer for Bunting all round because, of course, in Blackpool he made another match play appearance, 6th successive world match play appearance since his switch from the BDO. Made the last 8 in Blackpool with some
43.
Extra time victories. Really worked hard as well, didn't he, to make his way to the last 8. Beat Gerwin Price 13-12 in an epic. Ian White 14-12 was a belter as well. He was fairly unlucky in losing to Rob Cross 16-14 in the quarters themselves.
Yeah, you got your money's worth if you were going there to watch Stephen Bunting. And they were really good. And I have to say, Rob Cross himself came off after that game and said, Stephen Bunting is back. The performances he's put in this week here in Blackpool, he's not just here to be a nuisance and, you know, muck about in the sort of top 30 in the world and pick up a few wins here and there and earn a living. He looks like he can really get back to where he was winning titles, because he's former world champion, world master in the BDO system, the dominant force in the BDO when he was there.
110.
It's on. Ooh, steady. That nearly bust it.
A little bit too close for comfort there for Stephen Bunting, but
78.
he can't find double 16 anyway.
104.
And Anderson, having taken out the 127, is now looking at more orthodox 104.
Oh, yeah, he'll be so frustrated because that looks a really good guide for the 54.
Stephen
Wasn't
Uruguay,
able to use it.
32.
Bunting to hold throw and get on the board. Yep.
Game shot on the third leg. Stephen Bunting. Fourth leg is counted through first. Game on.
Did make a final on the Pro Tour earlier this year as well. At the very start of May, Stephen Bunting, it was his first Pro Tour
57.
final for well over 18 months.
Yeah, and then to back that up with the run at the Czech Open is probably a sign that that wasn't a fluke. Incredible game in the semi-finals and that Pro Tour as well, where he actually stopped the semi-final when Darius Labanauskas was giving him a hiding. They stopped because he wasn't happy with, I think it was a breeze. It was draft gate Mark II. And then he came back, won every single leg and nicked it.
Yeah, 5-2 down, won it 7-5. Didn't qualify for the first Euro Tour event of this year, but this is his 9th successive appearance.
140.
He's made the final day on 4 further occasions as well, although he has been seeded for some of those European Tour events, so that's helped his cause.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson, by contrast, has not been a regular on the Euro Tour this year, and he is not in the top 32 in the rankings as things stand. So if he is going to have a chance of emulating his brilliant run to the semi-finals a couple of years ago, he's going to have to pick up some money, and it may have to be this weekend. And he could produce the big fish, because a bullseye again. This time it's missed.
Stephen Uruguay, 138.
Missed start at the bullseye for a 3-1 lead, but Anderson will return looking at 25.
62. Kyle Uruguay, 25.
Josh Payne had to go to 25 after missing the bullseye. I think it happened 4 times in his eventual defeat by Rodriguez. Single 9 is found, no bother, double 8s. Inside for double 4 for 3-1.
17. Stephen Uruguay, 76.
Could have been closer than this, Bunting. Doesn't matter, gets 2 darts anyway. Lovely stuff, really nice. 14 darter for the bullet. Levels this game up at 2 apiece.
Game on.
Right, you mentioned the Josh Payne game. Yeah, bullseye finishes are hard, naturally. You don't expect to get them all, but if you get 4 chances at them in a game and none of them go,
100,
then you are going to give up opportunities. Kyle Anderson showed in this very venue that bullseye finishes, if you can take them out, can be the difference between winning and losing against even the best player on the planet.
140.
Beat Michael van Gerwen with 3 of them. He's taken out a bullseye check out here. And it may get him the victory V that puts him through to face MVG.
100.
Oh, that is superb. You can see Kyle Anderson, he didn't even have the grit right with his second dart. Made sure he got it right, followed it, and then the third one, simple as. 180 number 2 for Kyle
60.
Anderson. We know he's a big scorer when he gets going.
There's just something a little bit different about Kyle Anderson tonight. I can't really put my finger on it, but he just looks to be a little bit more settled, a bit more relaxed.
93.
Oh, I mean, they're both playing well. They're both averaging, well, one of them's averaging almost 100. Kyle Anderson's averaging almost 105. I know we're only in the 5th leg of this contest, but this is better than we've seen all month from Kyle Anderson on the World Series events. And make no mistake, it would have been hard for Kyle Anderson to come back to Europe. Spent some time with the family, some precious time with his family and his kids, who he doesn't get to see a lot.
Treble 17 was miles away with that one.
24, Stephen Ricard, 155.
Bit of a messy visit for Anderson, but he may well get away with it. Bunting looking at 155. Anderson still primed and ready for a break of throw for a 3-2 lead.
90, Calvin Ricard, 64.
One break apiece so far. Anderson looking to break again. Yeah,
Being shot on the fifth leg, Kyle Anderson.
Very, very good. 14 darter to break straight back. Bunting hitting with a 14 darter and a 2-dart checkout of 76. Anderson hits back with something very, very similar. A 64 checkout and 2 darts for a 5-visit.
45.
Highest average we've seen so far today was 101.71 from Dimitri van den Berg, aided by 75% on his doubles. Now, at the moment, Kyle
41.
Anderson is threatening to do something similar here. But he's being pushed by the bullet, who's averaging up towards 100 himself.
$82.
There's a spell on the Euro Tour a few years back where Stephen Bunting kept running into Ian White, and they always seem to have classic games where it was just 100 averages from both of them, and it was a bit of a coin toss about who came through.
60.
It'd be nice to see one of those rivalries develop on the Euro Tour over the next few weeks. Christoph Ratajski and Peter Wright had a spell a couple of years back where they seemed to run into each other and throw ridiculous numbers.
I mean, you've got 4 tournaments, well, certainly 3 tournaments in very quick succession, consecutive weekends.
100.
So I think that might lend itself to a few repeat encounters, maybe.
Certainly, and as we're approaching the end of the European circuit for 2019, with places at the European Championship up for grabs,
98.
each week that passes, some of those games are going to become more and more significant. You play each other 3 weekends running in April, it's different.
140.
Yes, you might have tournaments like the match play to qualify for. There will be things riding on it, but it's much more immediate right now with the European Championship at stake. He's going to leave himself tops here, Anderson.
96.
Yeah, the reason we'll have these potentially repeat encounters is the fact that the seedings remain the same. So number 9 always plays number 8, for example. So there is a greater chance that we will have these repeat encounters
100.
over the course of the first 3 weekends of August. Well, late August into September. Not quite sure what's going on over there. There's a darts match going on stage, though. And Anderson has taken charge of that match on stage, and he leads by 4 legs to 2. Very neat and tidy again on the finishing from Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson paying no heed to the blossoming romance between Obelisk and Princess Peach. Neither should he. Probably wants to sort out his lingerie, though. Nobody needs to see that.
100.
Stephen Bunting trying to shut out all the distractions from behind him.
$57.
Bit of a scratchy leg, this one.
45.
57 backed up by a 45 from Stephen Bunting in reply. Big visit here from Anderson. He could really take charge on this Bunting throw. But the first start is not the required product.
81.
Shake the head from Bunting tells his own story as well. It's a close run thing, this 7th leg. 52 between them. And again, Anderson has the chance to really step on the gas with a big visit here. Just strays to the wrong side there.
Yeah, moving over to the 18 sensibly. Gets the treble, but had he had the single, he would have left the 170. A shot that he's already had a pop at and missed the bullseye.
98. Calorie car 134.
Treble 18 tops, 2 treble 17s for double 16. You've got options. And he went for the former and didn't work out.
94. Stephen Ricard 113.
However, having taken tops before, he's in position to do exactly the same again. Tops though for Bunting instead.
93. Calorie Ricard 40.
Tell you that he was some way off the target there, and Anderson returns looking at double 20 for a break of throw and a 5-2 lead. And it's Kyle Anderson's match to lose now, 5-2, and looking very, very strong indeed.
Through first.
In the main, the finishing has been very strong indeed by Kyle Anderson. Okay, he missed a couple of bites there, but got the job done in the visit. And he's throwing now first for a 6-2 win.
Yeah, and this would complete the second round lineup. Michael van Gerwen, of course, the world #1, awaits the winner of the last 2 World Series events, winning in New Zealand and the second one in Australia. Still not playing his best, though. I don't think that's really put to bed some of the concerns about MVG's form. Darren Webster takes on Jeffrey Desvan in the same little section of the draw. In the same quarter, it's Dave Chisnell versus Dietmar Berger. Ricky Evans against Kirk Shepherd. Staying in the same half, Peter Wright versus Dimitri Vandenberg. What a game that could be.
100.
Joe Cullen will face Luke Humphreys. Darrell Gurney takes on Roby John Rodriguez. And imagine the noise here at the Multiversum for that one. And that's just from Roby John, let alone the crowd.
59.
And Johnny Clayton versus Mike De Decker, the Belgian, in the second round of a Euro Tour event for the first time this year. Other half of the draw, Ian White's the top seed. He takes on Rusty Jake Rodriguez, with the winner taking on Nathan Aspinall or Keegan Brown. Mensur Suljevic will be here. There is Rapid Ricky Evans. You'll see him tomorrow, being carefully stewarded by his effective carer.
He's threatening 1 or 2 surprises, by the way, Ricky Evans, for tomorrow, just to throw that out there.
Yes, I dread to think. But Mensur takes on Adam Gavlas, and look, he could have a surprise or two, because if he played like he did today on his Euro Tour debut, the 17-year-old could spring a surprise here in Vienna. Steve Beaton and James Wilson clash. Adrian Lewis returns to Euro Tour action against Christian Bunser. Michael Smith versus Cameron Menzies, as Stephen Bunting puts in a 180 to try desperately to keep this game alive. Leaves himself 68 to break. Gerwin Price against Brendan Dolan, and Simon Whitlock, the wizard, takes on the Dutch destroyer Vincent van der Voort.
83, Stephen Ricard 68.
Well, that final dart has hampered Kyle Anderson. It might all be academic anyway. Stephen Bunting has checked out with 68 to trim the deficit to 5-3.
Game on.
Well, what we did see at the World Match Play, of course, was Stephen Bunting able to put spells together where he'd win. Oh, 1 in, 1 out. It's late night rules down the nightclub.
Well, I don't know about putting spells together. He's been casting spells there, or somebody has been casting spells against him. That was desperately unfortunate.
Well, one of the reasons he uses these points, and there's been a lot of talk 65. About points of late and boards. I mean, these points, they're very good. They've got some decent grip on them, but they're not super aggressive or anything like that. The one thing you would say is that Stephen Bunting throws a 12-gram dart, and that one's caught a bit of a flight, I think, but even so, you would expect it to stick in. But Bunting, he throws a 12-gram darts. Even with the force he throws them at, it's difficult to get a lot of that point in the board. No problem there, though. 180 number 2, and is Bunting going on one of these spells?
Well, he's certainly made up the lost deficit, hasn't he?
134.
Drops on the floor just a few moments ago. He's down to 256. This is on the Bunting throw.
$138.
In position to turn 5-2 into 5-4. That looks precarious. He may well switch. No, he stayed
60.
there.
Stevie
Saw it wobble, but
118.
didn't matter. Well, not the right way to go, Stephen. Come on. Come on. I think you're a former world champion, but
58.
silly play.
Well,
59, Stephen
We'll be
Newcross,
thinking about the next
60.
leg already here, because Bunting's looking at 60. Just about found its way into that top corner. Double 10.
40.
Well, you can afford to miss those ones, Stephen, but you cannot afford to miss when you return, because Kyle Anderson should be on a finish. The question is, what kind of a finish? And the wheels have come off Kyle Anderson here. First 5 legs of this game, he was averaging nearly 105. That has plummeted by 13 points.
Game shot on the 9th leg.
We have had
Stephen
an abundance
Bunting.
of
10th leg
matches
is
going the
counted
distance
through first.
today, especially
Game
in this
on.
evening session. 4 on the spin, in fact. Humphries against Hughes, Schneer, Brown, Decker, Doby, Rodriguez and Payne. And who knows, we might be in store for another one here as well.
100.
If Bunting can win this leg, he becomes the favourite for the first time in this match. Went 2-0 down, 4-2 down,
137.
5-2 down, in fact.
Yeah, suffered that early break, didn't he? And Anderson looked to be in a very good place when he had that 1-2-7 checkout. Just think about that missed dart at the bull for Anderson in the 4th leg. Had he converted that, it may well have been a different story.
98.
Yeah, but irrespective, he still managed to put himself 5-2 up, and then it's just fallen apart for him. And Bunting has helped make it fall apart by putting him under more pressure. Because Bunting's average has been hovering
96.
around the mid to high 90s right the way through this contest. It is Kyle Anderson's form that has dropped off a cliff as he's approached the finishing line. There we see.
96.
96 leaves 170.
Complete reversal with the averages. Bunting has left himself the big one. Anderson on 205. Needs to make a big impression here.
Good look at the bull. No, decides to stay there. Gambles, it's paid off. Leaves him 65 for the match, unless Stephen Bunting can produce the biggest checkout in the game, and he might just do it. He might just do it. Wants the bull. Oh, you might not have seen a better shot all weekend, but he can't find it. And is that the end for the Bullet?
It could well be. That was a brilliant attempt by Stephen Bunting to keep himself going in this Austrian Darts Championship, but as it is, Kyle Anderson is looking at tops. He's taken it out already today. His finishing, well, it's gone off the boil a little bit. He needs to rediscover his touch here, and he does rediscover his touch. And Kyle Anderson comes through. A bit of an ordeal in the end against Stephen Bunting. It was harder work than perhaps we would have imagined at 5-2. Bunting, to his credit, did come back. Both players conducting a bit of an inquest into the state of the board there, maybe, given the number of bounce outs and the points left on the floor in the course of that one.